I received a message recently from a person, a former electrical engineer who retired now, who did work for the different government agencies and defense contractors, including he did work for the CIA and also NASA. And I was talking recently about that it looked pretty good with regard to disclosure, especially considering what Gary Nolan had stated recently, that he knows of people who are planning to come forward. They're getting ready, to come forward and say, yeah, there are extraterrestrials here, and we've been covering this up. That's what the gist of what I got from Nolan. Okay, and it sounds promising, and really, it could be true, because recently Congress passed a resolution as part of its Defense Authorization Act bill for 2023 that will make it take any kind of penalties, remove, provide whistleblower protection for anyone who, comes forth with information with regard to UFOs and extraterrestrials that's been covered up, within the Pentagon for the last 75 years. So it sounds very promising to me. So with that in mind, I think, well, if it happens, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope it does happen. However, now my source, who wants to remain anonymous, I've talked about this person before, and he just doesn't want the attention. But this person shares his thoughts on different things. In fact, one of his theories I thought was very interesting. I've talked about this theory before, that this person believes that these alien visitors, which have been described by many as insect-like, are actually here feeding on the blood of animals and possibly human beings, right? This is the explanation for cattle mutilations. A lot of these cattle mutilations, not only the parts cut off them, but they're completely drained of blood. Okay, and that was his theory, is that basically these beings are here, they're colonizing this planet, and they're using, and they feed on blood. To me, right, that's, it's a theory. It reaches those, it ascends to the rarefied heights of pure logic that I don't even think any debunker out there is capable of criticizing. I mean, how could you criticize it? You really can't. I mean, it could be. It's a very interesting theory. Do I think it's 100% the thing that's going on here? Do I believe that? I don't know about that. I just don't know. Maybe it sounds plausible, right? It's better than a lot of these other explanations, but it could be. It could be. I don't know. Anyway, he sent me a message after I did a recent podcast where I was pretty, for the most part, I was enthusiastic about the possibility that these insiders are, preparing to blow the whistle. And he wrote to me, well, I hope you're right, but let's just say the bill passes and grants whistleblowers the ability to come forward. 1, nobody who's really read in on the program will come forward because A, the people they work for operate outside the law, and they wouldn't dare to piss them off. B, what are they going to tell Congress? That our planet is being colonized by a race of alien creatures who feed on human and animal blood, and we can't do anything about it? And then 2, instead 150,000 people will ask to appear before Congress claiming to have important information, which will lead to A, Congress will realize they don't have anywhere near enough resources to interview them, and B, they will all turn out to be kooks in tinfoil hats. And then 3, the program will be canceled. And people will assume it was a waste of time, and the cover-up will continue, and nobody will ask any more questions about UFOs for a long time. That's my best guess. I'm a bit of a pessimist, I suppose. Yeah, that is a very pessimistic view of what could happen out of this. But I'm not sure if I agree with this. I mean, I don't know if I agree with this part about 150,000 people will ask to appear before Congress. Okay. I thought that we're talking about whistleblowers from within the Pentagon. If there was 150,000 whistleblowers from within the Pentagon, I mean, I think the Congress would make time. But I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to that number. I think this assumes that there's going to be a lot of people, civilians, wanting to step forward with important information. So I'm not sure if I agree with that. Yeah, okay. There's always kooks and tinfoil hat people out there, okay? I mean, yeah, there's no question about it. And some of these people have these ideas about why these aliens are here. I mean, you hear it all the time. I mean, I don't know where some of these people get their information from. I mean, I get my information from the research that I've done. You know, I've read a lot of books on alien abductions and cattle mutilations and the history of how the military has handled UFOs over the past 75 years. I mean, that's the kind of stuff where I'm at. I when I hear these people talking about space brothers and things like that, I just don't know if I can't. To me, that I have to draw a line, right? There's a line that I draw. I just don't see that. You know, I don't see where they're getting their information from. I think that sounds to me more like a religion. We're just talking about religion. That to me sounds like a religion. So I have to, you know, refrain from, you know, I can only go so far with this. You know, when you hear about, oh yeah, they take me, like, especially in the 50s, if you read some of the contactee reports, okay, they seem completely insane. I mean, I don't know what was going on there. I mean, there were this George Adamski from the 50s. He provided footage of UFOs. It was completely phony. You could tell by looking at it. I mean, it was absolutely phony stuff. He had a film of it looked like he drew a picture on a piece of glass and then moved the piece of, you know, a picture of a UFO and then and set up a camera in front of a forest and then, you know, moved the glass around. I mean, that's what it looked like. I mean, it was totally phony. He was just making stuff up to get people to join his contactee movement. So I don't agree with those people at all. I mean, they came up, it's almost like a religion that they came up with a certain belief on what's going on here. Like any religion, a lot of them, that's how they start, you know. And that's what it is to me. What reality is, though, is that there's something going on and we just don't have any answers. We don't know what it is. Right, I know that there's something here. Right, I've had my own personal experiences, like I talk about, but you know, at the same time, I have no answers really. I mean, could it be some of the things like this? My anonymous source here says could be. That sounds, you know, plausible. I don't like the idea of it. I mean, who would like the idea of, you know, alien beings here to, you know, colonize the planet and maybe get rid of us at some point? I mean, who knows? That could be. You know, and maybe they do feed on blood. You know, I would imagine these things have to eat too. What do they eat? Are they carnivores? Could be. We are. In fact, I just ate a hamburger before I started this podcast. You know, that's from, you know, a cow, beef. All of us do it. Is it so scary? So, and I guess that's another thing I want to get into here. He's pointing out that, you know, what are they going to tell us? What's the Congress going to tell us? That our planet is being colonized by a race of alien creatures who feed on human and animal blood and we can't do anything about it? Well, okay, if that's the case, you know, why not? Why not? If that's the case, I mean, look at everything else we're dealing with. We already deal with all kinds of problems and things we got to be careful with. I mean, you know, I just saw a video recently where some guy was eaten by a shark. People are eaten by sharks. I just read a story last week where some woman was, you know, eaten by alligators. There's monsters out there already that we know about that eat us, you know, if we get too close. You know, there's dangers at every corner. We're already used to that. Well, so if there are alien beings here that are feeding on the blood of cattle and maybe the blood of human beings, well, we just have to deal with it. We're tough. We could deal with it. Congress could tell us this. You know, why not? I mean, if it's what's happening, we should know, right? You know, are we gonna start covering up everything, covering up shark attacks, or somebody gets eaten by a lion if they, you know, they're walking around in Africa somewhere in the jungle and they're attacked and they're eaten alive? Well, that happens. What are you gonna do? There's all kinds of horrific ways that human beings die on an everyday basis, and you know, this would just be another one added to the pile. You know, of course, I think there are going to be people that are going to be somewhat panicked, you know, over this. They'll get over it. We're strong enough. You know, if that's what's going on, okay, so be it. So be it. You know, aliens got to eat too. Hopefully they're not, you know, now, my anonymous source here believes that actually there's human mutilations that occur, and there is evidence toward that. I know of at least one case here in Pennsylvania where there were some strange things that happened, where there was a person that disappeared for a few days, and then the body was found a few days later, and the family wasn't allowed to look at the body, and the autopsy showed that the person was drained of blood. Okay, but unofficially, that was what was told. That was what some people heard, but nobody ever sought to see the body. Does it happen? Maybe sometimes these alien beings make a mistake too. Maybe it's all by a mistake. Maybe they're looking for cattle, or maybe these things are probes that take the cattle. The aliens have nothing to do with it sometimes, and there's robots handling the mutilations, and sometimes they, unfortunately, humans get confused for wildlife or a cow or a deer, and they unfortunately get their blood drained and mutilated. I don't know. Just a guess. Who knows? We don't know. There's so many things we just don't know. But things like this have happened, it seems. But again, just because it is happening, just because they might be trying to colonize. Well, okay, we have to, if that's what it is, we have to know. I understand what my source here is saying, that they're not going to want the world to know this, and they probably won't, and they probably won't tell. If that's what is indeed happening, they probably won't tell us the whole truth, right? But the problem is, once disclosure happens, once people start realizing that there are aliens here, then no matter what Congress says, right, people are going to start talking about these kinds of things. There's just no doubt about it. People are going to start wondering, well, if those people said they saw UFOs near those cattle, and then some of them cows disappeared, or some of those cows were mutilated, so I guess they do have something to do with that then, right? Like, so there's people out there who just don't believe this right now, and there's a bunch of debunkers out there running around coming up with ridiculous excuses and not, for these incidents. So all of a sudden, those people who don't believe it right now are going to be like, yeah, they're going to be scared, but they'll get over it. Once people, it doesn't matter. You get over things. The human race has an ability to overcome, the realities of situations. Okay, we have to face the truth, and it's time to face the truth, whatever it is. So, yeah, this is a pessimistic view of it. I don't know if I agree with all of it. It could be true, could be what happens, but I think it was interesting enough to talk about and on the show here. And whatever happens, the fact that whether we get disclosure or not, it's still real. It's not going to change anything. There's a lot of us who already know this, but I think it's time. I mean, the human race needs to get over this hump. We need to accept this reality. And I want to get back into what I was just talking about earlier here with religions. Okay, say, this is going to be one of the biggest problems for religious organizations, because, like, with regard to disclosure. And what is disclosure? It could be what we're going through right now, right? And at some point, we're going to get over this little hump where it becomes, oh, everyone knows then, right? Okay, yes, it's pretty much accepted by everyone. But then you're going to have this thing where, well, what are they doing here? And they're going to wonder about the abductions and the hybridization program. Like, there's going to be all of a sudden, like, that stuff's real. There's going to be those kind of people coming forth, like, so that stuff's real then. Right, they're going to be surprised. It's going to frighten them. But the questions as far as religion is concerned, is going to be, well, what if they put us here, right? What if somehow we're the result of, millions of years of, some hybridization program, some kind of genetic modification program involving, maybe they took apes and they're the ones who started this, right? What if that's what we're going to start wondering about things like that, and it's going to, again, that's why some religious groups are going to be very upset and they're not going to like this. They don't like reality. They don't like any kind of scientific facts thrown in front of their face. It hurts their scheme to make money from people, and they're not going to want to make adjustments, because then it will show like, well, it will show that they were lying the whole time before and they had it wrong. So they're not going to make adjustments, and instead they're going to double down, triple down, and say, well, it's obviously demons and this is all a lie. So that's what you're going to get from the religious groups. But the thing is what if that is the case? What if what's going on here is that this is some sort of an experiment that's been ongoing for millions of years, maybe 1 billion years. Who knows? I mean, the Earth has been here for what, 4.54 billion years, right? That's how long it's, and apparently life started on this planet 4 billion years ago, scientists say. What if, 2 billion years ago, say, just go cut it in half, that, this whole program started. I mean, the universe has been around for over 13 billion years, according to scientists. It could be longer, it could be shorter, but just say it's 13 billion years, 13 plus billion years, right? They say. Well, that means that, these other would have given plenty of ample time to these other potential possible intelligent races to advance themselves and to evolve themselves, right? And to, who knows, if the universe is here for 13 billion years and the Earth is here for 4.5 billion of those years, right? Who knows what's been going on? Our lives. I mean, let's look at your own life. We don't have enough time in this life to figure everything out. I mean, I'm in my 50s now. Like, it's such a small period of time, really, that we have to try to understand, just as an individual, right? As an individual, we never can understand everything. I'm always learning something new every day. Every day there's some new lesson I learn, or some new bit of information I hear that I never heard before. I mean, it's just a constant learning process, and I'm never going to learn everything there is to know before, by the time I reach the end of this. So with that in mind, we only know what we're told, and everybody that told us things, they were hearing stuff from people who told them things. We're basically living on this rollover of information through time from different human beings. But the bottom line is, we have no idea what's going on here. We have no clue what is going on this world. We just don't. We could say, to me, right? This whole thing is a miracle. I don't know, what is it all about? How did this happen? It's a miracle in a way. When you think about it. I don't understand it, but we just don't know enough to understand what the whole thing means, like everything together. It's mind-boggling when it's even hard to put it into words right now, what I'm trying to say. This whole existence and everything about it, everything on this planet, everything outside of this planet, in our solar system, in the galaxy, beyond the galaxy, throughout the universe and all these other galaxies, we just have no idea what's going on. We have some people among us who we consider rise to a position of authority and of intelligence, like say someone like a Neil deGrasse Tyson, but that guy doesn't have all the answers. There's nobody on this planet that has all the answers. He doesn't even think there's enough evidence that there's an extraterrestrial presence here. I don't know how he came to that conclusion, but he's wrong. He's absolutely wrong. There is evidence. There's lots of evidence. But the whole thing is there's something going on here. We just don't know what it is. We don't even know how we got here. We really don't. I mean, we could say, okay, yeah, well, God did this in 6 days because it says this in this book, right? But is that what really happened? Is that how it went down? Okay. We don't know. We don't know anything. Just because somebody wrote those words a long time ago, does that mean that that's true? How do we know that? I don't know the answers to any of these questions. And I know some people are going to be upset with some of the things I'm saying here. But the truth of the matter is, if we're being honest, I have no idea what's going on here. I don't even know what's going on. For younger people out there, like say you're a teenager, you're in your 20s right now. Right now you're thinking, wow, I got all this time ahead of me, and it seems like right now in your mind, that's what it seems like. Yeah, you got your whole life ahead of you. right? And you really do. But I'm going to tell you, as you get older and older, you're going to be looking back. It's like, my God, this is unbelievably, where did it go? This is going too fast, right? I'm in my early 50s now. Like, you look, I can't believe it, because it seems just like yesterday I was 20, right? It seems like, yeah, I remember when I was 10, in fifth grade. I remember the last day of fifth grade thinking, oh my God, we were cleaning out a classroom because the school I was in was going to be the last year that school was used. And we were cleaning out this classroom, and I could see it just like yesterday, right? And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm not even halfway through school yet. This is going to take forever. And I can't believe I was thinking that, because boy, did it went fast. And look, I'm already here. I'm at 50. You don't even know where the time went. You don't know what you did with all the time. You can't remember everything. Again, we just don't even know what this is all about. We just don't. But what I think is that everyone should try to enjoy it as best they can while they're here, and ask the questions. There's something going on here. We need to get to the bottom of it. There's just too many people that have seen these beings coming here. There's obviously something going on. I want to get to the bottom of it, and whatever the truth is with the story, well, so be it. If they're here, if they're blood drinking beasts, monsters from outer space that don't care about you and the human race and just want to take over our planet, well, what are we going to do? Or if we're some sort of an experiment that's been ongoing for 1 billion years, maybe, or maybe 100 million years, or since maybe that's why the dinosaurs are gone, and maybe they steered a comet toward Earth to get rid of the dinosaurs to start us up. I don't know. Who knows? We just don't know these things. But I don't know if we ever will know. We'll probably never get to the bottom of these mysteries. We just won't. But at the same time, we could try to figure out, what's going on right now. Okay, like establish as fact for the world, right, that yes, there are beings here. What they're up to, Maybe our governments do have some answers, or maybe they only have speculation. But hey, let's lay it all out on the table so we can figure this out together. If any of that makes sense to you, hopefully I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make that much sense to me. But I'm just trying to ask questions. I don't know what the answers are. I just know that there's something going on here that we're ignoring for the most part. That we need to stop ignoring. It seems like we're trying to get to that point where we're going to stop ignoring it. And I just. Let's get there and then take things from there.